Hello and welcome to Think Watercolour. For today's demonstration I'm going to be using this reference photograph of a rather dilapidated boat shed in somewhere near St Mawes in Cornwall. As you can see, I've already sketched the image onto some rough paper. This is actually a sheet of Bockingford that I had left over from an old pad I thought I'd use up. I'm going to start with the sky. I've decided to not use the bright sky in the reference photograph. It was too it was a lovely day, but the sky would be too distracting. So just doing a sort of a washed out sky, bit of cobalt blue, some Naples yellow, just a generic sort of sky. Something that's not going to detract from the actual subject matter, which is the battered old boathouse. For the sandy beach area, I've started with a light wash of yellow ochre and a touch of raw sienna, just keeping it loose. While the sky's still wet, just dropping in some sap green. The trouble with photographs is they tend to flatten the image, and I want to depict these trees as being a little bit further away, so keeping it fairly loose, not too much pigment, just adding a touch of sap green and a little bit of red to darken the green. Red and green are complementary colours, so if you put them together, you tend to get a darker colour. I've mixed up a bluish grey with some cobalt blue and a touch of raw, burnt umber, and I'm just using a flat brush and just indicating loosely the line of the roof. Is a corrugated roof on this this boat shed. This is Van Dyke Brown, just for the underpainting for the timbers of the shed. Using a flat brush because it's ideal for this sort of thing. You can get nice clean edges with it. I sped this video up quite a bit because it took quite a while to do, and I just wanted to do a quick demonstration today. Just using blues, a bit of cobalt, bit of ultramarine mixed in with the Van Dyke Brown, touch of neutral tint. All these colours are based on those colours: neutral tint, Van Dyke Brown, some cobalt blue, perhaps a touch of burnt sienna. As I go along, you'll see that slowly develop the darks. These shadows will dry a little bit lighter to start with, but just wanted to get them in. It gives me a base to work from. When you're working from photographs, try not to be too slavish about getting an exact copy. Use them as a guide. This dilapidated shed it just caught my eye as an interesting subject. As I said before, I didn't want the sky to detract from the main subject. As you can see now, it's dried. It's knocked back quite nicely. Just adding different colours here and there, a little bit of yellow ochre in the mix as well for the timbers. This is reaching the ugly stage where you think, oh my goodness, it's never going to come together. But once you start putting in the details and the darks, painting will start to take form and have some depth. At the moment it's a little bit flat, but when I start adding these shadows, it will slowly come together. Just using the brush just to scrape out some texture in those shadows. If you have your mix reasonably dry, not too wet, press down on the brush and then drag it down, you'll get this nice dry brush effect. As you can see now, I start to add a suggestion of the joins in the timbers. The painting starts to take shape and begins to have some form to it. You just have to plan ahead when you're doing paintings like this. You know, think of areas of colour first, and then know where you're going to put the detail. And once, as I say, once you start putting detail in, it does make the thing come alive. And I've just used a rigger there for the edge of that door. And the great thing about riggers is they don't hold a lot of paint, so you can get this dry brush technique by starting off with a full brush and then dragging it down, and it's the same effect you get with the flat brush. This is the first demonstration I've posted for a few weeks. I've been doing a lot of videos on techniques for beginners, and I just thought I'd get back to doing some demonstrations of different subjects. And you notice the shadow on that door is curved. That's because the door's warped and bent, so it wouldn't be a straight shadow. So observation is everything when you're doing paintings like this. You only have to put a hint of the corrugation lines on the roof. It's reflecting the light from the sky, so you wouldn't see a lot of detail. I'm just using a detail brush, put some grass in the foreground and using the other end of the brush just to drag some paint up. There's a sort of an oil drum or some kind of container inside the shed in the photograph, and I thought it'd make a good focal point. Just trying to get the initial colour in, and then I'll add some shadows once that's dry. Just darkening the grasses at the edge of that area where the boats are parked up. There was a blockwork wall here, but I wasn't happy with that at all, so I've taken that out. Just adding the trees in the background, and then the reflection of them in the water. And while that's still wet, just using a flat brush just to drag out a few highlight lines and ripples in the water. Just use some yellow ochre for the top of the boat. It's one of those flat-fronted boats, so it's unusual little boat. And darkening the foreground area now, and just adding patches of different texture and darkness. It's yellow ochre, raw sienna, and a touch of burnt sienna as well. Just using the side of the brush just to drag out some texture. Use the tooth of the paper. Just darkening the shadow under that boat because it was dried a little bit light. This is some white gouache just to put some sparkle on the water. Just adding some details now. White gouache for some bits of rope hanging from the boat and the barn door. Just using a rigger brush there for that. Ideal for that sort of thing. And I think I'm pretty much done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Painting timbers is it's just a question of not doing it as a solid colour. Use different patches of colour and you'll get a really nice effect. I hope you found it useful. As I say, do give it a like if you found something that you got from it. It always helps with YouTube. Do subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos. And thanks again for watching.